Alright, section 1.6. I know that this is going to look different than your handout because I have only one that I've written on. So this is all we can do for the notes for this section. So multiplying and dividing sign rules. Now it's very important that you understand your adding and subtracting sign rules before you add the multiplying and dividing sign rules because they are different and easily confused. So the difference between the adding and subtracting sign rules, the main difference is, remember, if you have the same sign, you add and keep the sign. It tells you whether you're adding or you're subtracting. With the multiplying and dividing sign rules, if you see multiplication, you'll be multiplying. If you see division, you'll be dividing. There's no operation changes. The only thing that's going to matter is what the answer is. So if you have the same sign, your answer is positive. If you have different signs, your answer is negative. So it doesn't matter which one's larger, which one's smaller. If you have two negatives, your answer is positive. If you have two positives, your answer is positive. So it's same sign, your answer is positive. Different sign, doesn't matter which one negative, one positive, your answers can be negative. So let's go ahead and start our first set of examples. Alright, so I have a -4 and a 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. And I have different signs, so my answer is going to be -12. For the next one, I have 4 times 8 is 32. And since they have the same sign, my answer is positive. For this one, I have 5 times 15, that's 75. And since I have different signs, my answer is negative. Okay? Now, if you needed to do scratch work on this one off to the side, that's fine. You don't have to know that in your head. Alright, the next one is 6 times 0 is 0. Anything times 0 is 0. It doesn't matter if that was a -6 or not. The answer is going to be 0. Okay, so again, different signs, your answer is negative. Same sign, your answer is positive. So let's get down here to the fraction. Now the first thing with fractions I want you to know is you can cross cancel if you're doing multiplication of fractions. So you always want to look at the numbers at a diagonal to see if you can cancel something out. So 2 and 5, there's nothing that I can cancel out. 4 and 3, there's nothing I can cancel out. So since I can't reduce this, I'm going to multiply the numerators to the numerators and the denominators to the denominators. So I have 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 5 is 15. Then I'll look at the signs. I have a negative and a positive. Different signs, so my answer is going to be negative. Okay? Number 6, another fraction. I'm going to look and see if I can cross cancel. 1 and 3, there's nothing to reduce. 2 and 4, I can reduce. 2 will go into 2 one time, and 2 will go into 4 two times. So when I reduce, I'm dividing at a diagonal by the same number. So I divided 2 into 2. And I divided 2 into 4. So 2 into 2 one time, 2 into 4 two times. So now I have reduced in this step before I multiplied, and it's going to have smaller numbers of multiplication, and I don't have to reduce at the end. So I'm going to multiply 1 times 1 and get 1. 2 times 3 and get 6. I have the same sign, both negative, so my answer is going to be positive 1/6. Okay? So just keep in mind when you multiply fractions, you can cancel at a diagonal before you multiply, and you won't have to reduce at the end. Alright, let's look at number 7. Now, anytime that you have a lot of different numbers that you're multiplying, just take 2 at a time. Don't try to do a lot at one time. So I'm only going to look at the first 2. So -2 times -6. So 2 times 6 is 12, and I have the same sign, so my answer is positive 12. Bring down this -1. And I have 12 times -1. That's just going to give me a -12. I have different signs, so my answer is negative, and I know that 12 times 1 is 12. Now notice that you have a little note at the top, and it says an even number of negatives means the answer is positive, and an odd number of negatives means the answer is negative. This little tip only works when you have all of your numbers negative. They all have to be negative for this to work. Like on number 8, I have a negative, a positive, then a negative. The rule will not work on number 8. It will only work if everything is negative. And that tells you that if you have an even number of negatives, that means you have to have 2 negatives, 4 negatives, 6 negatives. If that's the case, then your answer will be positive. Now let's look. If we did not have that -1, if I had -2 times -6, that's an even number of negatives, and I got a positive 12. But since I had an odd number of negatives, -2, -6, and -1, 3 of them, my answer was negative. Now, why would you want to know that? In case you had something like this, I know the answer is 1, because 1 times itself is 1, but I don't know if it's negative or positive. You can use this hint to help you figure it out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. 5 is odd, so that means my answer is -1. Now you can do 2 at a time if you want to, the long way, to figure out if that's the right answer, but this tip will make those type problems easier. And I'm going to stop it right here and pick up on number 8 in the next video.